Some directors love to throw all kinds of extra treats into their movies for eagle-eyed fans. Many of these are discovered in the days and weeks after the movie's release, but others can go unnoticed for much longer. Here are some extremely well-hidden Easter eggs that you might have missed. The films of Pixar Animation boast a universe of Easter eggs unto itself. The Pizza Planet truck from the first Pixar film, Toy Story, traditionally makes a subtle appearance in every movie from the studio. The code A113 is another classic reference that continues to appear throughout Pixar films. It's a nod to a classroom number at CalArts, where many of the studio's animators went to school. However, some of the other Easter eggs are a bit harder to spot, recognize, or even fully understand. For example, buried deep inside of Toy Story 4, there's a reference to the 2020 Pixar film Onward, but it's a bit of a journey to discover it.
We're going on a quest!
The strange thing is that Onward was released nearly a year after Toy Story 4 hit theaters in June 2019. It's an extremely tough Easter egg to notice, but in the film, Woody, Buzz Lightyear, and the whole gang end up at a fair. Later, in a mid-credit scene, there's a wide shot of the fairgrounds, and it includes a bouncy castle with an illustration of Pegasus, the mythical winged creature. It's the exact same image as the one painted on the side of the van used by the two adventurous elf brothers in Onward. Of course, there's no way viewers could have made this connection until a year after Toy Story 4 was released. Bizarre supernatural phenomena are a given in Marvel films, but the 2016 entry Doctor Strange fully embraces the weirdness. Benedict Cumberbatch stars as the title character, an extremely successful surgeon who stumbles into a world of magic, sorcery, and sentient capes. In this mind-bending film, there's another dimension lurking past the mundane reality of everyday life. Also, the climax of the movie involves a vicious time loop.
This is time. Endless, looped time.
Both of those themes are also explored in the classic 1993 comedy Groundhog Day, in which Bill Murray plays a narcissistic weatherman caught in a punishing loop where February 2nd repeats over and over until he becomes a better person.
Do you ever have deja vu, Mrs. Lancaster?
I don't think so, but I could check with the kitchen.
A fundamental philosophy isn't the only thing linking the otherwise unrelated films. There's an Easter egg in Doctor Strange that references Groundhog Day. On February 2nd, 2018, the actual Groundhog Day, Twitter user Tim D. Leiden noted that the car accident that sets Doctor Strange on his new adventure occurs on February 2nd. When we pause the movie, the date is visible on the character's watch. Doctor Strange's director Scott Derrickson weighed in on the Easter egg, congratulating the viewer on the discovery. He tweeted, "I've waited 2 years for somebody to notice this." Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe made superhero movies the standard, director Sam Raimi whetted appetites for comic book-based films with his Spider-Man trilogy in the 2000s. The first installment, 2002's Spider-Man, tells the origin story of how nerdy teen photographer Peter Parker is having a hard time fitting in at school. Everything changes on a field trip when he's bitten by a radioactive spider. He quickly develops superhuman abilities and learns the tough way that with great power comes great responsibility. By 2007's Spider-Man 3, Peter is struggling with his dual identity and the pressures of being a superhero. On top of that, he has to deal with an alien symbiote that has brought out his emo side and completely altered any dance skills that he might have previously possessed. But amongst all the action and angst, there's a tiny Easter egg in the film that goes all the way back to the beginning of the trilogy. In a brief close-up of Peter's right hand, there's a noticeable bump or scar, the telltale sign of a spider bite. Or in this case, a radioactive spider bite. Although, considering how bad Peter's hand looked in the first film, it's nothing he should get too emotional about. It was the snap heard around the world, and arguably the most stunning cliffhanger since Luke Skywalker found out Darth Vader was his father at the end of The Empire Strikes Back. In Avengers Infinity War, the extraterrestrial villain Thanos collects all of the powerful Infinity Stones from around the universe and uses them to kill, or more precisely, wipe from existence half of all living things. For a time, that meant the heartbreaking end for Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, and most of the Guardians of the Galaxy, among many others. While the on-screen deaths were shocking and tragic, few Avengers fans thought all those iconic heroes would stay dead for very long, and indeed, most of those deaths were reversed in Avengers Endgame. But Marvel wasn't ready to show its cards quite yet. The rapid-fire Marvel Studios logo that starts each MCU film, and which features the images of numerous Marvel characters, was altered for Avengers Endgame. All the heroes who lost their lives to Thanos in Infinity War were removed. It flew by on movie screens so quickly that viewers didn't fully notice until Endgame was released on home video, and superfans could examine every frame. Whether they're films, TV shows, or video games, media aimed at kids have been used as a launchpad for toys and merchandising tie-ins for decades, and your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is no exception. In fact, long before the MCU took over theaters around the world, the wall crawler spawned all sorts of non-comics products, and some of them were notoriously bad. Case in point, the Spider-Man popsicle with gumball eyes. Of course, disappointment plus time often equals nostalgia. When Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse was released in 2019, it mined Spidey memories of decades past in all sorts of ways. Some of these references were pretty obvious, while others were easy to miss. However, one of these Easter eggs is almost impossible to catch because it only shows up in a single frame. After Peter Parker's version of Spider-Man lists some of his merchandise, he delivers a funny line about being a so-so popsicle. Then there's a quick shot of him getting slammed by Doc Ock. However, there's one frame in that segment where, thanks to Doc Ock's grip, Spidey's face looks a lot like one of those infamously misshapen treats. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Looper videos about Easter eggs are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.